The number one topic for the 49ers heading into training camp. How will they respond to the Super Bowl hangover? How will they do this year?
Now, okay, let's pretend, Iggy, that there's no coronavirus.
Of course.
Let's just pretend. Let's pretend, and this is a big pretend, that this is a regular off season, right?
Right.
It's just, let's pretend. So how will they do? Well, we know from statistics, the team that loses the Super Bowl has a tough time the next season.
Yes.
So they got that. On the other hand, they have one of the best coaches in the league. And he's a couple
of the best coaches in the league.
They do. So I'm going to say, I'm not going to go for that Super Bowl hangover. Forget it. I think he can coach to get past that. I think you say they'll win around 12 games. That if they have a 16-game schedule, 12 of 16 is very good. I expect them to once again be an elite team in the league. What about you?
Yes. The thing you dismissed the Super Bowl hangover. I want to come back to it for a second because to me, it's largely psychological. It's how you lost in front of everyone. And the Niners didn't just lose the Super Bowl. They had it. They were up 10 in the fourth quarter. They really had it, and they should have won. And they're going to have to live with that all off season and probably the rest of their lives, that it was in their grasp, and whatever verb you want to use, they wasted it. They let it get away from them, and they shouldn't have. I think that's tough to mentally get over, that you worked so hard, the hardest you've ever worked in your life. You made it to the mountaintop and you tripped at the goal line. I mean, basically they tripped at the goal line. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see what Kyle Shanahan is made of, because now he's done that twice. Now he's done it twice. He was an offensive coordinator in Atlanta. He should have won that Super Bowl and wasted it. He's done it here. So he's an excellent coach, but George Seifert never did that. Okay. When George Seifert got to the big game, he won it.
Okay. I'd like to actually talk about George Seifert, but I want to make it clear for our viewers. Actually, you're arguing against me here. I sort of dismissed the Super Bowl loss hangover, and you're saying, not so fast, Dad. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate that. I understand what you're saying. And they have to get over it in two ways. One, the players have to get over it. We had talked about it. It's like you're running a 100-yard dash and you're ahead for 95 meters, and you're ahead for 95 meters and you fall, and the other guy comes and beats you. And that's what happened to them in the Super Bowl. And it's happened now twice to Kyle Shanahan. And that's the beginning of a pattern.
Right. And you can say, well, we should have won. I just tripped. We were going to win. And that's true. But you're still the guy that tripped.
You're still the guy that tripped.
Still the guy that tripped. And now Kyle's the guy who's tripped twice.
Yeah. So they blew the Super Bowl. I guess maybe that's what the verb I would use. Although you had an editor who didn't like when you said that, right? When you wrote that.
So what?
Yeah.
Pissed it away? That's not much better.
Yeah. No. It's that's what you call timidity by editors, which makes you want to puke in your career. But let's move on past that. You had mentioned George Seifert, and obviously I know George Seifert very well. I don't know Kyle from anybody. As I look back over George's career, he started as a head coach at Cornell, and he was terrible. He was terrible. And I guess he left kind of humbled. But he ended up being Bill Walsh's defensive coordinator, and he was a Super Bowl winner. From what I understand from coaches on that team, he is flat out brilliant. I'm talking about George. Mm-hmm. I know I was told one time when he was the head coach and Holmgren was the offensive coordinator, Holmgren was showing George his game plan, and George told him, "You need to do it again. I can beat that." Wow. That's what I was told from a coach on that staff. I can beat that.
It's a great story.
Yeah. So then he went on and he won 2 Super Bowls as a head coach. He's not in the Hall of Fame, and he's not going to get in, but he's just this far off, like Tom Flores too. Maybe Tom should be in, but he was a hell of a coach. So I was talking to one of my sources recently, and you just babble. And I said, who's a better head coach, Kyle Shanahan or George Seifert? And my source went, Oh, it's such an unfair question, Lowell. He said, first of all, George was older when he got it. And he said a couple of things. George studied under Bill Walsh. He said, that's as good as you can get. He said, it's true Kyle Shanahan studied under Mike Shanahan, but it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing as studying under Bill Walsh. And he said, George had more time to grow as a head coach. Maybe ask the question about Kyle in 4 or 5 years. Fair enough. I would say right now, Kyle is not at the level of George Seifert because George Seifert won multiple Super Bowls, and this guy blew multiple Super Bowls. So when people talk about Kyle, he's a hell of a coach. He may win the Super Bowl this season, but let's not even discuss him in the Bill Walsh conversation. He has to first achieve the George Seifert level.
Right, because Seifert was a genius, but he was also a winner. He won 2 and lost. And he never was in a position where he had it won and gave it away and had to live with that the rest of his life. He just took care of business and won 2. Shanahan, you could say all kind of things about him, all kind of praise. He's the smartest. He's the best coordinator. He's ahead of the game in offense. Is he a winner? He hasn't proven it yet. He's had 2 opportunities to show it, and he hasn't been able to seal the deal.
Yeah. Define what you mean by winner, because obviously he had a winning season. So what do you mean by winner?
Someone who rises to the occasion on the biggest stage in the biggest moment of their life. Not just someone who wins more than they lose it, but someone who wins the whole thing.
Okay, so let's come back to our original. We were rating the 5 big storylines. Well, the number one storyline is how good will the Niners be this season? And I think they'll be an elite team, maybe even win the Super Bowl. We'll see about that. The other subtopic is, will this coach grow? Will he be really, really good? I think he's better than Mariucci. So he's past the Mariucci level. He still has to go past the Seifert level. Will he ever achieve that? Will he ever achieve the Walsh level? Well, we'll see.
Yeah, and the thing about him that's tough, he's only 41 years old, but right now he has a legacy. He's the guy who's lost the Super Bowl twice.
Yes.
Right now.
He does. Yes, he does. He has a legacy. And what they try to do at the Niners, let me take that back. What he tries to do is to pretend it's not an issue.
Yeah, no big deal.
Oh, no big deal. We could have won, all that kind of stuff.
We'll be back next year.
We'll do it next year. Up until you win, my answer to that is baloney.
Yep. And to me, it's also the answer of a young coach. I'm 41. I have the rest of my life to figure this out and not mess it up. Well, your players, what's their shelf life? What's John Lynch's shelf life? They have some urgency to actually do this now. And he's like, well, maybe by the time I'm 65, I'll get one eventually. I don't know.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. All right, Dad. Well, that was a good one.
I always enjoy doing this with you, Grant.
Thank you so much, Dad. This was a great Cohn Zone, and we will talk soon, and we'll do another one of these next Tuesday.